Welcome back to FIDE World Women's Team Chess Championship. Here we are for the final round, the most exciting round and the one that will decide who will go to the next stage. And I am Women Grandmaster Dina Belinka, extremely happy to be here yet again with Grandmaster Irina Crush.
Hi, Dina. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm really excited too. Today is the final round of the preliminary stage, and we're going to see who's going to make it into the playoffs. So let's talk a little bit about the format, Dina.
As usual, the teams are divided into two pools, and only 4 teams of each pool out of 6 will qualify to the knockout stage. The time control is very different this time. We have a rapid, for the very first time, World Team Over the World Championship is being played in a rapid time control, and not just rapid time control, but a long, extended rapid, 45 minutes plus 10 seconds increment.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, the other novel feature is that over the past 2 days, the teams have been playing 2 rounds a day. I mean, normally in a long time control, we're playing 1 round a day. So because the time control is sort of a hybrid between rapid and classical, the teams have actually been playing 2 rounds a day. So we've already seen 4 rounds pass by. Today, we're actually going to see only 1 round, round 5, and that's going to let us know who's going to make it into the quarterfinals for tomorrow.
Absolutely. And speaking of, let us take a look at the schedule of the event. Here we have the very last and final round, which is today, round 5. And starting from tomorrow, we'll be having quarterfinals. On Friday, October the 1st, we'll be having semifinals, and the event will finish by the finals on Saturday, October 2nd.
Yeah, it's quite a quick event, isn't it, Dina? I mean, instead of like a 2 week normal chess event, this one is going to be over in 1 week, even less than that, right? So it's quite accelerated.
Indeed, and normally we're not used to have a 6 day, only 6 days playing. But this new system also makes the event super entertaining. And speaking of entertaining events, we are very happy to announce that Speed Chess Grand Prix circuit has begun with the next event on October 2nd. Titled players will battle it out for weekly prizes, with the overall points leaders stamping on their ticket to the Speed Chess Championship main event. Catch all the action starting at 10 a.m. Pacific on Chess TV.
Yeah, that's an exciting event that I got to commentate on last Saturday. Really enjoyed that. And, yeah, the next one is coming up just in a few days. So watch out for that one, guys. It's a lot of fun. I had Hikaru Nakamura very often participating. And the last event was won by American young player Jeffrey Xiang.
That's correct. There's going to be a lot of action, and the main event will last starting from mid-November and will finish after the World Championship match. Right. So let us now, before the game starts, take a look at what is going to be the main attention for us in this final round, number 5.
I think the intrigue today, Dina, is not so much, who's going to win their divisions. I mean, it's quite obvious, Russia is going to stay on top, Georgia, quite likely. But the real intrigue is who is going to take the 4th qualifying spot in each division, because there really is a fight going on over that. For example, let's talk about Pool A. We have 3 teams who are on 2 points each, which means that they've either won 1 match or made 2 draws so far. And we see France actually leading in the game points at 7 points, which is a tie-break factor. So you would think that France has a clear advantage. Well, in some way they do, but then what really matters is what are the pairings for the last round? Now, France has a pretty unfavorable pairing, I think, with India, which is, a team in the top half of the score table. And if they lose their match, or even draw it, it really doesn't matter that they have a lot more game points than Azerbaijan or Spain. And Azerbaijan and Spain, by their good fortune, are actually playing each other. And I mean, the chances that there's going to be a decisive match over there, I think, are just very high, especially because both teams know they really need to win. So I think they will go all out. I mean, a draw, um, well, a draw actually could be good for them too. If France, if France loses, a draw will work for them as well. But in that case, Azerbaijan, who has half a point more, would go through. So I think Pool A is a complete toss-up. I think absolutely any of these teams can qualify, but France has a tougher job today.
That is true. So we would predict the fourth team being Azerbaijan, but once again, the games have already started, and we expect a lot of fight from all the three teams. Speaking of Pool B, here we have also a not an easy job for the three teams that we see at the bottom: FIDE Americans, Germany, and Poland, and everything as well depends on the pairings. And speaking of the pairings, Poland is actually facing Kazakhstan, while Ukraine has to, well, is expected to be Germany, I believe. And we have also Georgia facing FIDE Americas. So it seems like all the three teams that are competing for the only one and final spot number 4 are facing these stronger teams, and all of them will have to work really hard if they want to make their way through the knockout stage.
Yeah, that's also a very suspenseful pool. And yeah, we have three teams at the top of the score table playing the three teams at the bottom. Poland is playing that third team at the top, Kazakhstan. They really badly need a win today because they are like half a point behind, half a match. Well, yeah, half a point behind Americas and Germany. So they have 2 points, and FIDE Americas and Germany have three. So Poland absolutely needs a win, and have to hope that FIDE Americas and Germany will succumb to their stronger opponents. That would be their way to sort of come in through the back door to the playoffs.
Yes, and there is gonna be yet so many more exciting games. Once again, today is gonna be a short day at the office, but for sure the most exciting, since everything is gonna be decided today.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So we are going to have the games up shortly. Like, let's see, we already see the games have started. We got Yolanta Zawadzka is playing Jansai Abdumalik. Abdumalik has gotten up from her board. We got Marie Sabag. And Marie Sabag, who is she playing? Gotta see who is France is playing. We said France is playing India, so she must be playing Harika.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Harika is
correct.
also not at the board at the moment. Um, Anna Matnadze playing. So
Günay
yes,
Mehmetzade.
from Azerbaijan, and Geryachkina playing Lilit Mikrochan. I've learned to tell her from the back.
Yeah, that is correct. And well, from the cameras, we can already guess the openings. At least I do recognize the pawn on d5 from Garashkina's side, and I also recognize the bishop on a4 from Harika's part.
Yeah, it's interesting. Wait, like, so right now there's no players sitting over there where what's it, Sabag and Harika, they're both gotten up from their board. Pretty funny to see an empty board like that.
Yeah, that is
Geryachkina, I
correct.
think I think she's wearing the same jacket she was yesterday.
Could
Um,
be so, and that could be actually explained by the fact that Garashkina yesterday has made herself a very nice birthday gift. In fact, she made a almost perfect endgame example of how to overplay the opponents in this final stage, and defeated international master Gunnar Mamadovan.
yeah, so Russia is playing with Kashlinskaya on board 4 against Armenia. And interestingly, they're resting Alina Danielyan. So, I mean, that's a pretty surprising move by Armenia. I mean, I guess they're just giving them, I mean, when I see something like that, I'm thinking, okay, that's like a strategic decision. Armenia knows they qualified, and it's interesting why. I mean, yeah, they're not going to be. Oh, I see what this is. I see. Let me explain my take on this decision. Why would you
Yeah.
take out your top player against Russia? Well, Armenia is in place number two. Even if they lose, they're not going to roll back to qualifying spot number four. So they'll either be two or three. And I think, they know that even if they lose, they're not going to play Russia in the quarterfinals. I think that's important. They would definitely, pull out Danielle Yan to play, I mean, pull her in if they thought that by losing this match, they would play Russia again. But they're not, no matter if they lose now. And maximally, I mean, actually, it doesn't even matter for them because they're just going to be playing, um, they're just going to be playing India anyway. That's the way I understand how it works. Like team one is going to play team four, and team two and three will play each other, right? So it really doesn't matter. And so they're basically giving their top board a rest in this round. Strategically, it makes a lot of sense. Um, that's my take on what's going on there, Dina,
Yes,
behind
I
the scenes.
actually fully agree with you. And Elena has played quite a lot recently, so it would also make perfect sense to give her, let's say, so to be a day off, which is in fact a day off. And yeah, Armenia will definitely need Elena in a good shape for the upcoming matches of the knockout stage.
Yeah, so now are there any surprising sort of pairings in the other ones? Not so much. I mean, Ukraine is coming out with their top players, the two Muzachuk sisters and Yulia Osmak and Natalia Buksa. Okay, well, Shenina is resting, but I actually think maybe she has had more of a topsy-turvy tournament than the other girls have on her team. Um, FIDE Americas, I mean, okay, they're coming out, I think, with one of their best teams, certainly their best two players in the top two boards. And Poland, of course. Poland is playing with Sochko. We haven't really seen her games because we've been unlucky that they have not been broadcast somehow. So Monica Sochko's games, maybe we'll see them today. And Germany, yeah, Germany is sticking with their usual team in their attempts to qualify.
Yeah, this is gonna be not an easy day for Germany, and I believe they lost yesterday with a very massive score, zero, only half a point to 3.5 to Georgia. So they certainly do not want to repeat the same destroyment as they had yesterday. And well, their team is relatively strong. I would say even pretty young one, and it could actually score like unexpectedly. So any surprise here is very much possible still.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Elizabeth, I think, is good friends with Anna Muzachuk. So yesterday we were talking about what it's like playing your good friends, and so I think we have an example of that there in that first board between Germany and Ukraine.
yeah,
So
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a draw, but at the same time, I was surprised yesterday there was a fighting game between Anna Muzachuk and Jansai Abdumalik. But at the same time, this is a team event, so they're not only playing for each other, for themselves, they're playing for the team, so they sometimes do not have a choice. And also, that being said, remember that Grand Prix in Lausanne in May? Oh, sorry, in Gibraltar in May. That was the first, very first over the board event, individual event of high level. All the three players have made draws between them. So okay, that doesn't say anything, obviously. But yeah, I
so we
am
got
once
the games
again.
now, Dina. We got the games. We can go to Pool A.
They should be there very soon. They
No,
should be
yeah,
there.
I think they're already there. Can you try to
Yeah,
check?
That's correct. So
Yes.
here we are, Alexander Garachkar-Chan. What do we have here? Ooh, that is my favorite King's Indian setup for white pieces, and I am really looking forward to see how it started. It all went with knight f3, knight f6, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7. It was in fact ready. d3, d5. This is a very well-known position, very often played. c5, e4, knight c6, queen e2, e5, h3, b6, rook e1. So we have already discussed this ready opening, this ready setup several times, and we conclude to the fact that it became extremely popular recently because simply there is no advantage in any other opening, so to be on a very high level. So players sometimes try to avoid theory. Also, what is interesting is that here Lilith is an underdog facing an opening, like, I can't say opening expert, like in terms of expert, but probably let's say a player who has more knowledge in certain positions. So might be so that Lilith tries to go to more rare line where there is less theory and more creativity, simply to have to be able to think by their own brain.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, well, Lilith is very experienced as well. This is another player of my generation, 1983. So, I've known her for a long time. So, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, yeah, of course, Garyashkina right now is the stronger player, but I think, experience counts for quite a bit. And I don't necessarily think that Lilith is going to be without chances in this game. I mean, it's interesting. Like we have a kind of a reverse King's Indian. Yeah, that's what this is. Will Black at some point play the move d4? The rook on e1 is not in the best place in that situation. Or will Black just kind of maintain the tension? And what move do we expect here from White? Will Black be playing knight d4, which also, see, I'm not surprised to see c3 because yeah, knight d4 was actually an idea for Black. So okay, c3, and I think yeah, most likely Black can, yeah, White is always threatening to take on d5, go knight c4. So Black needs to think. I mean, maybe it's time to go d4 themselves. It's not crazy at all. It's actually an interesting decision. What will she do here? Because you're really determining how the middle game is going to go right here.
Yeah, and on d4, White could either do not move and improve their pieces, or push c3, or even go knight c4. Yeah, or push c4. So sometimes it is actually something that White wants, because after d4, let's say you can play a4 and try to fight for the c4 square, then we would be met by a6, preparing b5. So it all can become double-edged. Also, after d4, the very typical plan for White in any King's Indian setup is to play f4 would very much more be possible.
Can I make a guess, Dina? I still think she'll play queen d7. I
All
think,
right.
I mean, not that d4 is bad. I mean, I don't know. I think she'll play queen d7, pawn takes d5, knight d5, knight c4, like rook f e8, for example. She's holding the e5 pawn and got good control over the d4 square. So, I do think that just maybe a flexible move like queen d7 is in order. And of course, White can play a4 there and make sure b5 doesn't happen. It's interesting. I mean, both of those strategies are possible.
Yeah, and once again, computer very often gives here a preference to Black, but the position is very rich of ideas, very much playable, and it is well, it's like King's Indian for Black. Computer will always write something like plus a pawn, yeah, as we say, +1 for White, but we know that it's never clear. So here it's the same situation for White.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I would say I got it half right, because she played rook to e8, which is similar to queen d7 in the sense that she chooses a more flexible move and does not determine the pawn structure in the center with d4. So yeah, that's quite normal, and I do think that move tells us a lot about her take on the position, which is likely she's going to follow up with queen d7 and rook a d8.
Right, interesting. Then, that being said, let us move to the board two of Russia versus Armenia. And here we have Alexandra Kostyuk with white pieces playing against Anna Sergisan. And
This must
this
have been a French defense.
exactly what I wanted to say. Let us take a look.
I'm so
And here
sorry
we
to
are.
steal that from you.
That's my pleasure. The more you do, the happier I am.
The more guessing I do, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so here we are. And, ooh, well, one thing I would like to mention, first of all, about this position is that we see these black squares being pretty weak here, especially on the king side, and there is no dark squared bishop anymore. But at the same time, white doesn't have any dark squared bishop either, and then might be no one to get used of them. But one more thing, which is pretty important, there is this pawn on g6, and this is, as we say, a potential possibility for white to open up the H and probably G files. So I would here give a preference to white.
Yeah, I think white's got an initiative, but there is still a question. I think black is going to play knight c6 because it's just completely necessary to develop your knight. Unless she has some funny idea of going knight d7 to c5, which, also has a point to it. I mean, I can say knight d7 to c5 is not impossible.
It actually looks even more dangerous because you kind of want to trade this bishop on d3, and the bishop on d3 might be the most dangerous piece for white when it comes to attack.
Yeah, I mean, knight c6 has the point that you want to go e5, right? So I kind of feel like, I'm not sure that white is going to have time to get their attack with h4, h5 off the ground because knight c6, h4, e5 is just a huge threat, right? Like black will just keep their pawn, threaten bishop f5 developing, and that's it for white. So after knight c6, I think, you're quite likely going to have to, well, actually, what are you going to do? Like bishop b5? Yeah, bishop b5, bishop d7, um,
Don't you want to
and
play knight
yeah.
e5, first of all?
You mean after knight c6? Like where?
Okay, you cannot because it's black to move,
It's
makes
black's
sense.
turn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Black's
Right.
turn, and so black will be for sure moving that knight. The only question is where. I mean, knight c6, bishop b5, bishop d7 looks pretty decent. I mean, what is that position after knight takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d7? I mean, yeah, e5, like black must be fine. It cannot be that bad for black. We can show that line, right?
All right,
Uh,
so knight c6,
yeah, knight c6.
bishop
So
a5.
bishop b5 and um, bishop d7 is like a logical move. I mean, of course, I
Right.
mean, you cannot take on c6 and pretend you have anything there. I mean, obviously, black is just completely fine. So, but the question is, so what is it that you want? Um,
There's this pawn.
yeah, you can take the pawn. So we were looking at that. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4. Um,
Bishop takes
black will take,
d7.
yeah, bishop d7. And I'm saying, like, this can't really be too bad. Yeah, for black. He's going to support the knight. I mean, no bad pieces. There's no real attack yet. Seems quite okay for black. So I don't think that, black has some, an unpleasant choice here. Let's put it like that. And she's still thinking. The other choice that we can put on the board is knight d7. That's
Knight
quite different.
d7.
This one though, yeah, I can tell you like here white has actually a bit more options because they can actually take the d4 pawn, right? So they can go for this end game. And black still has to do a little bit of work to equalize that because their development is not as good, right? So here, yeah, I find knight d7 because it gives this option. It is a less of an ambitious move. I expect her to play knight c6.
All right. This is something that we can conclude with and continue moving on. We have board number 3, and this is Alina Kashlinskaya. Kashlinskaya is board 4.
Yeah, Kashlinskaya is board 4, but we can go there.
Yeah, we can go there. Alina Kashlinskaya facing Siranush Gukasyan. And, ooh, what is this? Isolated pawn on d4? But
this
the
looks like some kind of Queen's Gambit accepted. Can we go back?
Queen's Gambit accepted with the pawn on c7. Wow.
Yep, it's a e3 5 line. Oh, nope.
Oh, gotcha.
I thought it was, yeah.
Wow, Italian game.
Okay, there's no way I would ever guess this because as far as I know, you know, Kashlinskaya is not really an e4 player. So, that's a little bit of a surprise.
Although recently she has been playing so many different things. Once again, Alina is, by the way, an example of a player who really works a lot in the openings, and the openings are or must be her strongest side. And that is not there is no secret. As we mentioned, her husband is a very hardworking player, Radoslav Wojtaszek, and they definitely share the ideas together. In fact, in our so-to-be Russian circles, we even have a joke. Sometimes people say that with Alina, the most important is to finish safely the opening. And then if you do that, then you can play.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, so okay, it was a bit of a surprising opening choice. We basically had, we had an Italian game. Okay, so this is how we're getting the structure. So what's going to happen? I mean, knight d5, I guess knight c3. Yeah, white wants to make the case. Oh, okay, interesting. White wants to make the case that the bishop on a7 is in a bit of a strange position because normally in these structures, it's on e7 or d6. So, okay, black is trying to establish themselves on the d5 outpost. Okay, white will play knight c3, right? I mean, there's not really much else that she can do. Knight takes d5, knight b takes d5. Okay, and now what? Interesting that the computer seems to like this position for white, but...
Well, one thing I know about computers is that it prefers space advantage, and here, thanks to the d4 pawn, white is the only one who has a center here, so it might actually be this factor.
Yeah. Funny. So... I'm reading our Twitch chat. We got some funny dialogue there, Dina. I like it. Frank says, "This is not a dating site." Yeah, well, all right, let's continue on talking about isolated pawns.
Yeah, isolated pawns are way more serious than the dating side, so we should probably pay enough attention to them. Although I guess we already mentioned most of we could about this position, and it is time to move on. And here we have other matches going on. For instance, how about we take a look at Harika versus Marisa Bag? We saw this game from the cameras and we guessed about the bishop on a4. It was in fact the Spanish Ruy Lopez. And here we have d3, a very solid and a very solid, let's say, approach, a very peaceful one, and also trying to avoid main lines. Here we have bishop c5, short castle, b5, bishop b3, d6, a4. All right, is a4? Yeah, a4 is not a main line. A4 is the second line. Main line is c3. The game continues with rook b8, h3, h6, knight c3, short castle, knight e2, bishop e6, bishop takes, f takes. Remember that discussion we had over should one take on e6 6 or not. In fact, we already had a very similar position, I believe, at the first day of our commentary.
Yeah, we did. We did. Let's see what's the current position on the board.
So this is how we achieved our current position. And now it seems like white has so much more advantage in the space and also in the center. Actually, I kind of feel misfortunate for this rook on b8. Look at this rook. It is blocked by not only one, but 2 pawns. This is the worst place where you can put a rook. Also, we have this c7 pawn, which is a backward pawn. It could potentially advance, but for now, it's not possible tactically. And both knights, they are pretending they do something, but at the same time okay, there is this f4 square, but no one can enter there. Here I'm struggling to find anything positive for black here.
Yeah, I agree, Dina. I mean, I think the main thing going on here it's the C file, right? I mean, black has really nothing to quite neutralize that file with. It's very hard for them to play C5. Playing D5 has its own problems. You're going to leave the C7 pawn completely backwards. And so black has this conglomeration, I think I can use that word, of pieces on the king side, but without actually being able to do anything over there because, okay, they don't have any more pawns they can launch there. White's very solid with all of their pieces lined up there as well. So really the main difference in the position is like that open file that white has on the C file. It's going to keep black passive. And, now that I think about it, Dina, maybe white is going to go with a really basic plan of rook c2, rook fc1. Why not? I mean, you got to use your rooks on open files. The rook on f1's doing nothing. C7's an easy target. So to improve the position, you can start with that because you really don't need your rook to be on f1 for much longer.
Yeah, rook on f1 might be the worst piece of white currently.
Yeah, and I don't think, I mean, first I was looking at some ideas in the center that white could do with the pawns, but there's just no need. I mean, you definitely don't want to go e5. You definitely don't want to be putting your pawns in dark squares and allowing that knight into d5. And you don't really need to go, I mean, d5 is tactically difficult to do. So I think very simple plan of just improving your pieces for a little bit longer. And then, once you do that, then you'll find something else in your position to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a very good insight on this game. If we were to try find what was the mistake of black, how would we explain it?
How would we explain it? We would have to go back and start studying the Italian game, Dina. And, because I can tell you it's only some subtleties. It's not like black didn't do it. I don't think he did anything too obvious,
Yeah. Okay. If I were just simply to look at the computer, then I would recognize that it's knight e7 that roots everything. And now trying to explain it in a human way, what is wrong about putting the knight on a7? I mean, it is already looking at the center. That's correct. So putting it away to e7 doesn't help us with playing d5 or knight d4, also stopping white from playing d4. What's your take on this move, Irina?
Yeah, I mean, so it turned out not very effective because basically white did this plan with c3 and d4. Black's knight wound up on g6, but without much to do as we currently see. So, okay, what black should have done instead? That's really the question.
There is this b4 idea to make sure, I mean, to give some life to your rook, but also be ready for c3, which is the main idea as we saw in the game, c3 and then d4. And after, let's say, b4, c3, you can always take and then say, at least in this game, my rook is finally active.
Yeah, and also like maybe, I mean, okay, from a human point of view, I would look at queen e8, knight h5 kind of ideas as well. b4, of course, makes a lot of sense. I mean, what about queen e8? Is that possible?
Yeah, let's do something like c3 as my plan. And here you go, knight h5.
Yeah, let's try it.
Knight h5. Okay.
See what happens.
Knight takes h5, queen takes h5, and here you gotta be careful after. Okay, there is. there is no d4 because there would be take, and then queen d1. Oh,
Oh,
is
but
there?
yeah, it's still protected. It's still protected.
Yeah, it is
But
still progressive.
D4 just might not be that strong, you know? I mean, you can take and play even bishop b6. I mean, actually, I like the queen on h5.
Yeah, so what's interesting about it is that compared to the game, here with the knight on c6, this d4 is not as dangerous as it is in the same position. I mean, in this situation that we had in the game, simply because we transport that knight to, wow, to see the knight on c6 would actually save the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Dina, what did you say? I was reading the wonderful poem in the chat. We
Yeah,
got a
so look,
poem that
yeah,
roses are
well,
red, violets are blue.
exactly. So trying to understand better this position, obviously, not an easy job, but here we had this line with d4 concluding that it is not dangerous because the bishop just goes to b6 and black is doing perfectly fine. But what is interesting and fine to understand better this situation is that if we take a look at the exact same position in the game, in the exact same idea, but with a knight on g6, it actually changes everything.
Oh, so okay, we have a few more moves. Wow, rook c6 and bishop a7 played. Okay. So, wait, she played rook a8. Oh, because the rook c6 was a threat. I didn't notice that. So,
Wow.
wow,
Oh my. Oh boy.
yeah, this is really some black going into some contortions. I mean, I understand she can go knight e7, right? She'll get rid of the rook, so it's not
It might
too
actually be
terrible.
not that stupid. I mean, not that bad after all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just yeah, it's very unusual this whole
Wow.
lock up the rook and then put the bishop on b8. And I mean, c6. Oh, maybe c6 and d5. That's
c6
interesting.
preparing d5 and making life to your bishop would be an interesting
Yeah, yeah.
idea. We also have c5 here. And this is actually not a winning of a piece, pawn of a pawn, sorry, because, ooh, try to spot the right
Okay,
move
let me
here,
try. Let me
Rina.
try to find it. Okay, hold on.
There is only one.
There's only one move for black, yeah?
Yeah, it is an intermediate move. It is not a capture.
Okay,
Because
knight c6.
that's it. Knight c6. Threatening the fork on b4 actually saves the day.
And then
Because
like d5 somehow or something. Or is that the point?
assume we move away the queen, like let's say putting it somewhere. Well, first of all, there's a5 pawn, but yeah, you're right. There's d5. Wow, this is a crazy compensation. You do not. I mean, yeah, it's not so easy to spot when being in the game. These are like, this is a deep analysis of the position, but it's a pretty interesting idea because sometimes it can actually be, as we say, a pattern.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice pawn stack concept. I mean, the knight is a great blockader on c6. Black is activating the bishop on b8, you know, using the pawns in the center. So I can definitely see, you know, the compensation here. And, you know, the rook on the c file has been neutralized because now it stares into its own pawn instead of into black's pawns. All of black's pawns are now on the light squares, which works very nicely for his bishop. And, you know, the extra pawn on the c file, like we said, it's blocked. So white's not getting that much out of it. So I can see this whole concept working out quite nicely for black. Yeah, I mean it's still a fight. I mean, despite the very I would say awkward way that black's pieces currently look with the bishop on b8, just you almost never see a piece like that. There is potential, very clear a clear way that black can get out of this awkward position and make this strategy work.
Yeah. Now let's take a look at the position that we have right now on the board before we go on a quick break. And that is rook c6, bishop b8, and knight d2. So currently, Marie is thinking, she considers the option of knight e7, which is, as we saw, the best option here. Actually, what is interesting is that it might be the only logical idea, and that means that the next move of black shouldn't take that much of a time. But that being said, I suggest we take a very short break and be right back with the analysis of more games from the match between France and India, because as you remember, France has their last chance to fight for this next, for the final fourth spot in the round robin if they want to reach to the knockouts. Welcome back to the very middle of the final round of the FIDE World Women's Team Chess Championship. We are witnessing right now on the screens the most decisive match, because we will soon find out who is gonna continue the fight to the knockout event.
Yeah, Dina. Well, I've been noticing in our Twitch chat, there's a whole big discussion going on about women-only tournaments and why do we have that and do we need that and all of that. It's quite an interesting discussion. I guess I can give my perspective on that. I mean, first of all, yeah, I mean, ideally, we would just have open tournaments only, right? I think, that's sort of like the um, end goal for the field of chess. I think, objectively speaking, if you look at it realistically, at the moment, if that was your approach, I mean, you would just not have women professional players. So, they would have to go and do other things to make a living. So I think the practical effect of, let's say, eliminating tournaments like this or women's world championships, it simply wouldn't be that good for the game of chess. I mean, the reality is, if with these kinds of tournaments, the level of women chess players, it is going up. And it's certainly better than it was 20 years ago. There are more women becoming grandmasters. So keeping women in the game of chess um, is not a bad thing, and it does lead to the raising of the level of play. I mean, we have more women who've crossed the 2600 barrier. At one point in time, there was just Judith Polgar, very exceptional case. After her, we had Humpy Koneru, we had Hao Yifan, we had Anna Muzichuk, we have now Alexandra Garyechkina. We've had a number of women who've come very close to 2600. So, and these women, obviously do not just play, other women all the time, right? This is just one kind of tournament. And, Garyachkina recently was playing the Russian team championship, where it was like, well, she was playing all men, right? And she had a great event and she crossed 2600. So, I think uh, basically, I don't see that tournaments like this are harmful, although I agree that, in order to improve at anything, you want to seek out the best possible competition. And in that case, that would be like playing in open events, which most of these women do. And, you know, mm, basically providing some kind of a way for these women to showcase, their talents, to make a living at chess. I think it's important to that ultimate goal of getting more women into chess and raising the level even higher to make it as equal as possible. So that's my take on it. I don't think the chess world would be richer if you took all the women out of it, and I think most people will agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's just like in business or politics. It's only by creating new role models that you will make sure that the whole population, so to be, of women becomes stronger and fights for equal chances with men. And we have seen already so many examples of women beating men, very strong women beating strong chess players, male chess players, and it is going to be more and more often. And hopefully, with this new sponsor that we had just a couple of days ago, the Establishment Labs sponsoring women events for the end of this year and also the year 2022. It is, by the way, the very first corporate sponsor that FIDE has achieved. And here we go. It comes to women's section. So it's also interesting to bring way more sponsors to chess by so to be separating. But this is not a separation, as Irina said, because every single woman can compete in open section and actually does that. Speaking of Garashkina, right, she qualified to the Russian super final, which is going to take place, by the way, in 10 days, starting in 10 days, super final. And this is very first time for the history where a Russian woman chess player will be competing with men in the Russian championship.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that was coming up so soon. Dina, I will definitely be rooting for her. I mean, that's a really tough tournament, and she's certainly going to have her, her work cut out for her. So I hope she does well there. Hope she's well prepared, and I'll be rooting for her. So yeah, let's take a look back at the games. I mean, it is an interesting subject, and it is worth talking about. In fact, so I'm glad that you guys brought that up, and we started that discussion um, in the chat. So, oh, it's interesting. U4Life says, your comments are pro females in chess. I just feel that they're admitting inferiority by playing in tourneys where men are barred. Well, they're not admitting anything that the chess rating lists don't show, right? I mean, it's it's not exactly a secret, who are the top, let's say 100 rated chess players in the world. So I don't think it requires us to eliminate women only tournaments to basically acknowledge the fact that yes, at the moment, I think is it only Hao Yifan that's in the top 100 rated players, Dina? I don't know if I think she's active, and I think she's still in the rating list. But yeah, these are just the facts, and let's say eliminating a tournament like this wouldn't change that fact.
Yeah, definitely not. And looking for elimination, for instance, if you ever had a look at the new FIDE website, you would notice that no woman chess player does not have anymore the national ranking top among women. The actual ranking, wherever you click, will always show you the open section, the general section ranking. So there are changes, and there will definitely be more, but once again, it is not about uh, eliminating women's category. It's about getting more and more sponsors into chess in general and supporting chess as a sport in general. Only by like this, more people will be able to make a living out of it. And why do we even speak about women or men? There is also transgender. So it is an open discussion, and the most important is to make chess players in general a better life, so that they can once again make a living of their sport. And this is something that we are working, all of us, right now, and I think we're moving into the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. And in general, I think, yeah, the more playing opportunities, the better for the players, whatever gender they are. I think part of the reason that, chess in the US is doing quite well, we have our own homegrown players now, is because, now we have, the St. Louis Chess Club, we have more playing opportunities, more support for chess. It makes a difference, and, you know, sometimes you'll have a tournament, you'll have like more American players. Well, and you might be like, well, why don't you just eliminate the American players? Have the top rated players from around the world. Well, okay, you can do that, but that way you're going to grow stronger American players. So playing opportunities are important, basically. That's the way I feel. The more of them they are, the bigger the prizes, the more competitive the players will become. So yeah, that's my take on that.
I might conclude this conversation by inviting everyone to go and check out on my personal YouTube channel. I have hosted a discussion, a roundtable, back on the 8th of March 2021. I mean, not such a long time ago, this year. And on the day of the International Women's Day, we had a discussion where we had around 10 worldwide known chess players, including Jennifer Shahade and Dana Reis and Ozola, and all of them have spoken out about this subject and made pretty good conclusions. So do not hesitate to go and check that one. It might actually give you a lot of answers.
Okay, that's interesting, Dina. Maybe you can put a link at some point, like later on today, you can put a link for us for that video.
Yeah,
And we can put it into the chat.
I'll definitely give this amazing opportunity to our dear moderators to go and paste that amazing link, and we'll be really grateful for that one.
Yeah, this is a good conversation. All right, now we go back to the chess. Let's see, what updates do we have on the board? Do we have an update between Harika and Sabag?
Yes, that is a good thing. Let us take a look. Ooh, 92. Wow, we don't have any update. Look at the time. Marie has been thinking all that time long. Wow, I do not believe that. There is
Wow, she
still.
still hasn't played knight e7. That is really surprising. So let's go on to some other games. What else do we have in this? We have Russia or France, India, and we have Azerbaijan, Spain. So yeah, let's actually take a look at that match because it's quite big. And who's going to win that match? We have Mamadzada versus Matnadze. So two representatives of the Caucasus region. And we had another kind of a reti opening. Yeah, and now we're in a quite a typical Benoni type of thing. Yeah, it's quite balanced, I would say. In these positions where black has a space advantage with a d4 pawn, white white wants to trade pieces, and so he's traded the dark squared bishop for the knight on f6 at some point. White wants to expand on the queen side where he has an extra pawn, so black is like making it hard for him by having the pawn on a5. And black, I mean, normally, of course, in these Benoni positions, wants to play in the center with e5, which they haven't done yet, although I think they might at some point be playing the move e5. I don't like her time advantage. She has twice less time than Gunai, and she's still thinking. What is she really thinking about? I mean, you can play anything. You can play h6 if you're worried about, for some reason, knight g5, knight e4. h6 kind of a normal move. You can play e5 right away. Don't see a problem with that, other than, yeah, I mean, white's going to try to trade pieces. So I think h6 is interesting, Dina, because, you know, if you go e5, you gotta consider like things like knight g5. Not because, I mean, they're not super dangerous, but like I said, white wants to trade pieces in this position where he has less space. The more he trades, the better. So we can put the move e5 on the board and discuss this position a little bit.
Yeah, personally, I favor white here because I really enjoy the c4 and those amazing outposts d5 and e4. Computer gives evaluation this as equal. Well, there is also b5. I actually do prefer way more white's pawn structure, but I guess black also has something. Probably it's just a space advantage with this d4 pawn.
Yeah, you mentioned something important. So, like, white would obviously also like to play the move c5 and knight c4 and knight d6 ideally, but that's not so easy to accomplish. Yeah, and I mean, I can even see black playing the move b6 at some point. You know, b6, rook ac8, to kind of stop those plans. I would consider. Well, I would consider the move knight g5, although if I trade the knight on f6, it might make f5 more likely, but still, let's look at knight g5 here for white. Knight g5 for white. Yeah.
Going to e4.
Yeah, that's the idea, at least. I don't know, maybe it's not going to be super successful, but that's pretty typical to try to just trade something.
Yeah,
Maybe,
there's this bishop g4, there is knight g4, preparing the f pawn
yeah,
march.
yeah, that's interesting. Knight g4, right? Because if you go to e4, your knight just gets trapped, not traded.
So
Yeah,
there's this f pawn march idea. Let's say we go somewhere like here, might be met by f5. It would be a very much pity, in fact, completely losing. So this is not something that we want. And if we go a knight this one, let's go here. Once again, f5 is on their way, probably not immediately. 694. Wait, what? Yeah, that doesn't work. All right, b6 has been played. And you see, what is interesting about this position is that black has just done, let's say, more or less a human move. And immediately, right after it, we see already an advantage for white. And that would actually prove my theory that long term, let's say, strategically or in a human level or practically speaking, whatever you might call it, this position is in white's favor.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting. I mean,
starting from
B6 is a
here.
little, it's like, it's not completely like, it was one of the moves I mentioned as a possibility, so it's not, it's not crazy looking to me at all. I mean, I don't feel personally like I would play it at this moment just because, there was no big urgency to play this move. And also, if you think about it, why would you allow white to go, I mean, knight e5? Is knight e5 a good move here? Because you're basically asking for it to be played.
Knight e5. Okay.
And then you even have work to do to consider, knight takes e5. So bishop a8, there would be knight takes d3, I guess, right? Let's just put that on the board. So
Bishop
bishop
a8, knight
a8,
d3.
knight
That's correct.
d3
Attacking the rook.
is quite strong, yeah.
Yeah.
Intermediate move, and black's going to wind up a pawn up.
So we're gonna take it with the rook.
Yeah, I mean, I guess queen, queen d6. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, queen d6 actually is possible.
Queen
Could
d6.
do.
We're
Could
attack the
do it.
rook.
Yeah, and then you move the rook away. So I guess it's not a big problem for uh for black. So what does the computer want to do instead of this knight e5? So he's not that impressed with my sort of plan of trading pieces.
Yeah, computer prefers to elaborate with queen e2. Sort of
Trying to take
being
with the
ready
queen
for
on e5, yeah.
e5. Yeah, stopping e5. Wow. Oh, that is an interesting tactic. And now there is bishop takes a8 and the d3 pawn is protected. Nice.
Yeah,
And
nice
after, let's
tactic.
see, rook takes, there is f4. Or even just queen takes. e5, finishing the job. Right.
Yeah, queen e2 is a nice move. Yeah, I agree. Not rushing in and preparing some of these ideas on the e-file. I think there's a chance she will play it because it's fairly natural. All right, and she has time to figure it out. Actually, she didn't play it because I see it's black's turn to move again. So what happened on the board? What was the
Yeah,
move?
still.
They are playing moves, so something has
Oh,
changed.
wow. There have been so many moves. Let me show you. Oh, no, wait. It was. Oh, wow. All right. We were with Marisi Bag and. And Harika. And here we are. No, wait. We were with
Gunai and
Gunai
Matadze.
Matnadze. Okay, they have just. Yeah, there they are. Okay, b6. Wow.
But what is this?
No comment. Let's go back to Greshkina and Mukherchan.
Okay.
No comment either.
Oh yeah.
How about wait? Let us refresh.
Let's just talk about the positions. Let's just.
Yeah.
I mean.
Let us refresh the fight. So the main action is going to happen in the pool A. We have Spain and Azerbaijan. This is the match that we really need to stick to.
Yeah, we really need to see some games from that match.
So
let's find one game.
Yeah. So in the board one, we have Mehmet Zara and Anna Matnadze. And this is the position that we have right now on the board. Let us evaluate it.
Okay, let's evaluate it. So Matnadze's time has grown by a lot. And this position looks very unlike that Benoni structure we talked about, but we're gonna roll with it. So she's got an advantage on the clock. I mean, actually, okay, her pieces look pretty active. White's got the bishop pair. Bishop and f4 is hanging for now, and so is the a4 pawn, and b2 is hanging. It's interesting that the computer is giving some advantage. Now, I'm thinking it might have to do with the move bishop d5, because, I mean, what else can you do? Like, I guess you can play bishop g3, just give away the b2 pawn, and then play bishop d5. Yeah, there you go. That's also possible. On the other hand, bishop d5, okay, if they play knight e5, knight e5 is pretty interesting. Because I bet like black will have a lot of play there. Yeah.
Let's pretend we are greedy.
Or even
what
b2.
is going to happen here? This is a great suggestion. You put the bishop on d5 and you say, I don't care about the pawn because I have two bishops and they worth pawn.
And you're threatening rook takes f6.
Okay.
You were threatening rook
Now,
takes f6. You still have that idea. You can sack and make them take with a g pawn. I'm not saying you're going to do that,
yeah.
but I think anyone would look at that, of course, and then be like g takes and then
Rook
um
f1.
rook
Whenever a
f1.
computer says the position is equal after sacrifice, it means that the sacrifice is really working, because computer is a pretty materialistic animal, and he prefers like everything that he can eat because he's super hungry all the time. But we humans know that there is a lot of compensation and initiative.
Yeah, this is a very typical kind of idea to open up the black king, and you definitely have the pieces that are going to back up the sacrifice and give you good compensation. I mean, the rooks here are just not very good. But, black is, of course, is not completely lost. He's trying to go knight e5. Sometimes he might even sack back the rook on d5, depending where white's queen goes. So, I mean, I'm just kind of showing the sack on f6 more for illustrative purposes than, like, making the claim that it was absolutely necessary or the best move. But let's go back to that starting position and see. So has white made a move? Has she decided what to do with the bishop and f4?
Not yet.
Not yet. So
Not yet. Let us jump to the next board.
yeah, I think bishop g3 will happen. I mean, you gotta um yeah, I mean, by the way, bishop g3 and knight e5, there's just queen a4. And I guess white is up a pawn. A4, Dina.
Ooh, wow.
Queen a4.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Knight
And you can
f3
get one
and
bishop, but I mean, white is up a pawn and should be better. Although, Dina, there is bishop takes b2. Let's not
ooh, watch
forget.
out, watch out. And here we have a sequence of intermediate moves, and the queen cannot
Oh,
capture, not because of rook b2, no, because then it would be a mate into queen e1 and queen takes f1, but because queen would take the rook on d7. That is a beautiful line.
yeah. I mean, so bishop g3, black really has to make that choice. Yeah, and I mean, knight takes b2 seems like the simpler move. She just made a move. Can we see what she just did?
Yeah, it is bishop d5. We have also suggested this as an option after knight takes f4. Imagine we have rook takes f4,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
100%
there's,
gonna happen. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, they're gonna capture that. And now what I'm a little interested in, I mean, yes, there is this pressure on f7, but black has a very good dark squared bishop as well. And I feel like, with ideas of bishop e5 and maybe queen h4, something tells me like black should be able to be okay here. So yeah, I think this giving up of the bishop that easily and going into this bishops of opposite color, probably not objectively the right decision for white.
all right. Well, still, we know that whenever you have opposite colored bishops and heavy pieces on the board, it can still be very, very tough thing to defend, because here we have a clear target, which is a pawn on f7. It's going to be forever, and white's bishop is 10 times stronger than black's bishop.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess on bishop e5, you have rook f5, right? It's not completely obvious how, I was thinking f5 maybe. Not completely obvious how you improve your rooks as black, how you activate them. Oh, there's a really interesting idea in general. Somehow, sometimes you have rook d6 to h6. You try to throw that rook over there.
Correct. Yeah,
I mean, it would be
creating a
nice.
counterplay for black as well.
Yeah, it would be nice not to hang the e5 bishop, but like, um, but it is an idea. We just need to figure out how to make it work. Like queen a4. Um, okay, queen b5. Yeah, unfortunately, you still can't go for that line.
Yeah, the problem is that the f7 pawn is pinned, so you cannot guarantee your bishop a safer square here. You might want to prepare it though. Let's assume something like king h8, but then you might say that white is simply not in time because there's going to be even rook f1 and you cannot move, right?
Did she play king h8?
No, that was my suggestion.
Oh, that was your suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah. How about we go on and see what is happening on other boards of this match?
Yeah, let's do that once we take a break. Dina, we're going to come back and go straight into this game, a match between Spain and Azerbaijan, and take a look at all the other games, guys. So we will be back in a few minutes. And in that time, Dina, there's a suggestion that you try the Einstein hair.
I will definitely try that one during the break. Do not go anywhere, guys. Welcome back to FIDE World Women's Chess Championship. We are about to find out who is gonna take that final fourth qualification spot to the knockout, and we are rooting for those three teams at the same time, hoping that the strongest will get it. And currently, we're looking at the game between Jansaya Abdulmalik from Kazakhstan and Zawadzka Jolanta, because this is a very important match for Team Poland if they ever want to continue their path in the World Women's Team Championship.
Yeah, this is a wild position. I have to say, maybe one of the craziest that I've seen this tournament. Maybe, I mean, it's just wild from, I mean, not that anyone is getting checkmated right now, but just the imbalance on the board is so unusual, with white having three pieces for the queen and pawn. And both kings are actually pretty open, but white's pieces are fairly well coordinated, so their king is quite safe. I mean, this is a really unusual position, and the computer is giving this as balanced. So okay, we have no reason to kind of disagree with that. Black is trying to win the strong passed pawn on e6. I mean, if he does that and gets to play rook e2, it's obviously going to be great for black. So white, I think, is going to go something like rook h e1, because that pawn is definitely worth saving, not just for itself, but for the fact that you're not going to allow black's rook into the game so easily. In these kinds of positions, you need to be really careful with your king if you're white, right? Whenever you're facing off against a queen. But the coordination of the knights is looking pretty good. There's a bishop nearby the king as well. So right now I feel pretty decent about white's king. And yeah, I do predict the move rook h e1. Their time situations are similar. So this game is a toss-up.
Yeah, indeed. They say three pieces are stronger than the queen normally. And also, speaking of the king's weakness, I would say that white king is pretty much safer. So in practical level, I would definitely give preference to white here, since I believe it's easier to play with white.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, rook h e1, if black wants to win this pawn, how does he go about doing it? I mean, he's obviously going to lose the c pawn at some point, and I don't know if it makes sense to play c4, bc4, and then, I mean, it's so complicated, actually. Like, let's look at it. c4, sure, let's play c4 for black. B takes d4, and like b takes a4, for example. Not even b4. Let's take on a4 to open the b file. Yeah, computer is liking this for white. So he likes the three pieces. Probably the pawn is going to go to e7, and that's the issue, is that passed pawn on e6 is really strong.
Yeah, sometimes computer does agree with me when it comes to strategy. And here we go.
Yeah, I mean, so okay, rook h e1. I think we need to find a way to deal with this pawn on. Okay, I think I have a plan, Dina. So rook h e1. What if we go queen g6?
What is interesting about it is that Jinsai is thinking, and rook h e1 seems to be the only move in this position.
Yeah.
So
now
what
if you go
other option?
And now I was thinking maybe like b4, but now I see that when the queen goes back, you also have ideas of knight e4, knight f6 in general. Once your bishop goes to b2, then your pieces can start to coordinate. Yeah, I agree that actually it seems easier for white to play this position, practically speaking. But maybe she has to just find some good moves, like so rook h e1. What other options does black have?
Yeah, getting back to this one, what could else Jinsai be thinking of? Is that something like bishop b2? But then let's try to understand why is it bad for white. We have rook takes e6, and then imagine you do something, and then this is what you said, that the rook would actually come to e2, and that could be pretty much devastating for white.
Yeah, there's no way white wants to lose that pawn. The pawn on e6 is really important, and it's not just because it's a pass pawn, but because it's like it keeps the rook passive.
Correct. How about
I think she did play rook
the update? She finally played it, and we see b takes a4.
Oh yeah, good move, because the queen d5 ideas. That's right. You don't need to go c4 and then b takes a4. This is obviously better because now if pawn takes, then you have queen d5 or even rook takes e6 immediately. There you go. So she made a good move, Zawatska. Yeah, gotta just look at your forcing moves. I don't know how I didn't like I didn't look at that forcing move. That was a bad
Yeah,
mistake.
well, that reminds me that whenever you're thinking in chess, you should always ask yourself a very basic questions. What are my captures, checks, and direct threats? And these are the very first things that you really need to check. So capture would be the very first candidate. And once again, if you want to come up with good moves and avoid the chance of blundering, you really need to be very much disciplined in this way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like so this game is interesting. A lot of um I think just, it's unclear to me. That's what I would say, especially from a practical point of view, how this is going to go. It's going to be an interesting game to come back to. So let's go see what's going on in board two of their match.
Yeah, so we have, all right, board two, Monica Sochko has already won against Dinar Sudakasova, having
Wow.
completely dominated in this opening. Very inspiring performance. And let us jump into the board three. That is, so we have, okay, board three of Team Poland versus, here we are. Claudia Kulon from Poland with black pieces is defending some kind of a Druish endgame versus Women International Master Dinova Mariert. And this is interesting because Claudia is a pretty much higher rated player, but seems like she didn't manage to get anything out of it. And let me remind you that Poland is stronger on the boards 3 and 4, but lower rated on the boards 1 and 2. And that being said, Sochko Monica has already scored a point. So what is our current, let's say, match point situation at this match?
Yeah, well, we need to see board four. What's going on with Kubika? So this one we can assume is going to be a draw. Kubika Daletova. This is going
Oh,
to be important. Okay, so Kubika, this is a very balanced position, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I mean, they might go into an end game right now where white is, holding the two pawns that are currently attacked on, e4 and f4. Black, it's interesting, Dina, because Kazakhstan doesn't care quite as much, right? I mean, about the result of this match as Poland does. I mean, Kazakhstan has already qualified, and how many points does Kazakhstan have, actually? Let me just make sure about what I'm saying. Kazakhstan has, well, yeah, if they lose to Poland, I mean, I think their spot is assured. They're still going to be ahead of Poland. Nothing's going to change. And yeah, so the stakes are quite different. So, like, what I'm saying is, yeah, what I'm saying is that maybe if Kazakhstan absolutely needed to win, they would keep the queens on the board, right? That's what where I was going with. If Kazakhstan is just trying to like play a normal match, then I think okay, yeah, trade queens, go into this end game. I mean, I'm not saying it was that easy to avoid the queen trade, but I mean, you could have thought about it if you really needed to win. Um, she's playing, more conservatively. I think what can white do? I mean, the question is should they play f5 or should they play g3? Both moves are possible. f5, you are putting a lot of pawns on light squares. You've got a light squared bishop, but you also I should play g3 or that's your move. Is that your
yeah,
move
no,
or is that the move on the
that's the
board?
move in the game. Correct. That's the
Oh,
move in the
yeah.
game.
So she played g3. That's yeah, normal move. I cannot say that f5 looked that bad to me, Dina. F5 and then like king e3. Um, yeah, but g3 is okay. And so I don't see, for now, I don't see white losing. So given that, Zawatska is doing all right against Abdul Malik, although that's really unclear. I mean, right now, Poland is looking pretty good. Like they do definitely have a chance to win this match. And maybe we can quickly go and see, what is going on between FIDE Americas and Germany, because those teams also need to win. I know that they're a little bit behind. Like, for example, Muzichuk has already won a game off of Josephine Heinemann. And
That's
so
correct.
Ukraine has an advantage um, over Germany. And board one was a draw between Elizabeth and Anna. So what's going on with Schneider versus Osmak and Kleck versus Buxa?
So Clark versus Buxa is yet another very interesting situation, having queen versus knight and a rook. Only knight and
Yeah.
rook versus the queen, which is supposed to be worse, but yet the position is looking like equal. That is interesting.
Well, because I think they're losing the knight on c7, so it's going to be a rook and two pieces, right?
That explains everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So then what happened? Oh, is this the position on the board?
Yeah, this is the position on the board.
Ah, okay. Well,
so we
yeah,
might
you can go.
expect queen h6, knight takes f4. Oh, wait.
I think queen e7, more likely. Yeah.
Okay, queen e7, but queen e7 is bad because you step into the tempo of rook c7. And if you play queen h6, apparently rook c7 is not that dangerous because you have this amazing resource of f takes e4 attacking the knight, and these two pawns might become pretty dangerous, almost as strong as a piece.
Yeah, yeah,
that is interesting.
Point. Yeah.
But also it's not so easy to spot. So here black has indeed a very important question to solve.
Yeah, so that's the game Kleck versus Buxa. What about Schneider versus Osmak?
And this is also a big fight. Look at this knight on d4 with the bishop on c3. They do look nice. Also, you kind of expect this dark squared bishop of black being held on g7, but here it became pretty aggressive and went into the fire himself. Such a brave decision, and looks like it is paying off because black is here way better.
Yeah, black is better. I almost think that white just has to play like rook takes d4. I mean, it seems kind of desperate, like, because knight f3 is hanging. Yeah, that doesn't look very good.
White is thinking in me to show that rook takes c3 is not possible because of the very simple tactics, fork, and you say bye to your rook.
Yeah, I mean, you can play rook takes d4, bishop takes d4, but bishop f6, and try to come in with the queen, but it doesn't really work. Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be pretty bad for. So Osmak, I mean, yeah, like this is exactly the scenario that Germany, needed to be afraid of because, them losing, of course, doesn't bode well for them. Let's so see what is happening in Georgia versus FIDE Americas.
Yeah, that is pool A. And
no, this is also pool B. Zagnidze is playing against Corey Daisy, and Batsiashvili is playing Luhan.
Right. I'm not so sure I will be able to help you out with this one. Spain,
Azerbaijan. So Mamidyarova is winning against her game. I see that. She's up.
Ooh. That is interesting. Mamidyarova Turkan is winning against Garcia Marta, and yeah, that's just a free knight. So this is already a win, I would say. What is the next matchup we have in this game? We had
Matnadze versus that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Why is what's so weird? No, I don't understand anything. Look, there's Sachko on the camera. It says she's still playing Sadvakasova. Look at that. Dina, this is too much. This is too much.
Oh, you are such a spoiler. You're such a spoiler. It was my plan was so like everything looked so real, and then you just spoiled it.
Yeah, I know, right? Look at that. We actually see that they're still playing, and we thought they were already done. But you know what? Coulon. So Coulon drew. So we don't even know if Poland won that game, right? Which was very important for our narrative to, understand, if they were a point ahead, but we see that they're still playing and we don't really know what the position on the board is. There's in some kind of end game. All right, Mamadzada is playing against Matnadze, and she is up a pawn. Bishops of opposite color, pawns are doubled. Um, she's up 2 pawns. 3 against 1.
Ooh, seems like not an easy job to win, but on the long term could actually be still possible because potentially you might, if you ever manage to trade b6 pawn versus a4 pawn, that would be just 2 passed pawns for white. Although if you trade all the rooks, then it would be an easy draw.
Yeah.
Wait, that being said, it is not going to be an easy draw because h is going to be another passed pawn, and that would be a very decisive point.
Yeah, but I think, as long as you didn't let white break through on the queen side, I think your assessment was right. It was going to be, should be a draw. Let's see what else we have in that match. How about Abdumalik Zawadzka? That was really exciting.
Yeah, Abdumalik Zawadzka. All right. This is a pull B. Yeah, it changed. It changed quite little, and we now see a clear advantage for white. So last time we had this game was after, I believe, B takes A4. B takes A4. It was somewhere here, and that is just, in fact, there have been only a couple of moves. Rook takes C5, A takes B3, King B2, and this is what we have right now on the screens.
So black was better, and then somehow white became better.
Yeah. Wow, this is completely
like
winning. Completely winning. Ooh.
Looks like
you see? 2 pieces, 3 pieces, practical level. Changes everything. Sometimes even when the computer says the position is equal, you cannot really defend it because it's just, especially not in short time control. You just don't have enough time to understand what is the precise way of defending.
Yeah, it's a little sad though. This is bad. It's bad for Poland if she loses that game. Because we don't even know. If she loses, then Sachko needs to win and Kubica needs to win. That's a tough situation there. Or, they can make a draw in the match and hope that Germany and FIDE Americas lose and that they win somehow on the tie breaks. That's another scenario that works for Poland. So a drawn match would not be a catastrophe for Poland at all. Just so we have to actually make that clear. It's okay if they draw because they're only half a match point behind Germany and FIDE Americas. What about India and France? That's a really important match.
Yeah, we haven't looked for this one yet, and so far we have Tanya Sajdev playing versus Natasha Benesba. We don't have much information here, but Kulkarni Bhakti is also playing against Natasha, and here we actually have a game in progress with black being slightly better at first glance, but looking at the evaluation bar, apparently black's king is weakened at max, and also the only open file in the position belongs to white, so that actually changed the way of me evaluating this position.
Yeah, prediction please. Hunter of the Queens wants me to make a prediction on what? On what? Like, are we gonna get the right positions up in this today or not? Or what else? What can I make a prediction on, Hunter?
Yeah, well, speaking of predictions, I can already say that Tanya Sajdev has made a draw versus Andrea Navratilova. That is an achievement for France because the board won. All the boards of India are higher rated. So if France managed to make draws on every board, that would be 2-2. That would be a very important achievement for France.
Yeah, France would like to not lose this match for sure. Well, let's try looking again at Azerbaijan, Spain. Yeah, so we know Mamedyarova Turkhan is winning on the last board. Do we have the game, any of the other ones, like Ulvia Fatalieva versus Ezagueri?
Yeah, we have that game. by the way. And let us see what is happening here. Oh, in fact, Olivia already won. Okay, that makes it a very important point for Azerbaijan. And so did Mamidyarova Turkan. So that makes it already 2-0. And now we
So
need to have a look.
Azerbaijan is looking really good.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan is
And
looking
there
good
is
to
the
take this
game.
match.
And there is the game that we haven't seen yet. And it's also a very important one. It seems like Gulnar Mamadova is completely winning versus Sabrina Vega. And that would mean for us a name of a team that would advance to the Pool A. Oh,
Well, yeah,
from Pool A.
unless France doesn't lose, right? Because France is actually ahead of those teams. Oh wait, no,
Yeah,
France is tied with it. No, they're all tied. Oh yeah, so that's right. So Azerbaijan, if Azerbaijan wins, most likely they're going to go through because it's unlikely that France is going to beat India based on what we're seeing here, right? Do we have the game Marianne Gomez versus Silvia Alexeyeva?
Yeah, we have this one. It seems like Marianne is about to win, but this deep pawn. Ooh, wow. King cannot even enter. Look at this. Wow, what an amazing situation. Black has put white into Zugzwang, and that is a very great achievement.
This really reminds me of the end game. I think it was it Osmak or no, it was Buksa, I think, that played the night end game yesterday.
Yeah, that was Buksa versus. Yeah, I can recall her opponent, but we have definitely seen it, I believe, yesterday.
So basically, Azerbaijan looks like they're going to get that fourth spot. I think that's a prediction I feel like I can make with some confidence. And in the other one, I mean, yeah, Poland is looking like they might not be able to pull it off today, pull off an upset against Kazakhstan. Let's go take a look at that again.
Yeah, so Shansai already won. That makes it 1-0. We are not sure of the result for Sochko. And two other boards are Buksa versus Klek. Seems to be completely winning for Buksa. And wait, Poland, yeah, that's correct. And we have Schneider versus Osmak. And this?
Yeah, so Germany is definitely out of contention. Germany's going to lose.
Completely winning for Ukraine.
Well, wait, but if Germany loses, right? I said they're out of contention. We don't know because it's actually it might come down to like all the teams lose, and then who's ever tie breaks are better between FIDE Americas and Germany. That actually it could be coming down to that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Regarding Georgia versus FIDE Americas, we already know that Nino Batsashvili won her game versus Carolina Lujan, and we also have a draw on the last board. So we need to have a look how Miley Jade is doing versus Mara Rabidze, and this seems to be pretty equal. So we might expect, although equal, I say equal, the only move here is Rook F3 needs to be found. But that's move for white, so it means that Ouellet is doing pretty well here.
Yeah, she has more time. That's great news for FIDE Americas. And what about Corey Daisy? Do we have that game against Zagnidze?
Yeah, let us take a look. Corey Daisy against Zagnidze. No, this one is the mystery. We cannot have any update on that one. And who else do we have? That's the only game. Okay, Rook F3 was found. Rook E2, now Rook F2. This game I finished in a draw. So Corey Daisy versus Zagnidze is the most important thing, but we don't have it. So this is going to be a mystery. Yeah. But mystery means even more exciting material for the last part of our show. Isn't that something that we are hoping for as commentators?
Yeah. I mean, I think, FIDE Americas, they just need to get those game points at this point. I mean, if Poland's not gonna Poland's going to lose and Germany's going to lose, then FIDE Americas just needs to get more points than Germany, which I think they're going to get because, like, we see that Osmak and Buksa are both winning. That means that Germany will only get like half a point in their match, and And FIDE Americas will get more than that. I really see the path for them to qualify, like through the game points,
Yeah, that is a very interesting observation. So once again, FIDE Americas have 6.5, and so does Germany. Both of them have 6.5. So in this current match, assuming that all the teams, all the 3 last seed teams will lose, we really need to count every single half a point.
Yeah, Marisa Bag, how is she doing against Harika? I mean, I see that they are in the middle of their game. They're on the video camera now. Do we want to take a look at that?
Absolutely. Marisa Bag versus Harika Trunavali. This is the game that we have here. Ooh. Wow. Marie is having an advantage. Wow. Let's calculate the material. Dude, let's calculate the material. We have 6 pawns for both, but we have a super aggressive rook, a super aggressive knight, and this could actually be decisive. I mean, wow, White's knight and White's rook are also strong, but they do not do anything. Knight cannot attack any target, and the rook is attacking the c5 pawn, but Black's knight is protecting it. So here, like, White's activity is fake, but Black's activity is real, and that is what decides the evaluation here.
Yeah, maybe she should have taken on h6. I don't know, because right now, is she going to win the b2 pawn? I'm not sure that she is.
Yeah, but it seems like every single move of Black is giving the advantage. That is a very important sign. Knight d4, rook d2. This is the update.
Why is she repeating? I hope she's not going to repeat. Okay.
Wow.
Oh no. Oh no. No. Wait.
Don't tell me she's
going to be good enough. They need. I don't know if this game is going to matter.
Okay, knight to b3. Wait.
But they're making a draw. Yeah, they're making a draw.
Ooh.
That was not exactly the best thing for France. Let me just take a look again. So France is ahead, but well, she draws, but France is going to lose. I don't know, but maybe she thought France was going to lose anyway because they're not doing well on boards 3 and 4.
I mean, Marie doesn't have any way to know what is going on for her team. She cannot know that. She doesn't have enough time. She cannot ask the arbiter. I mean, she doesn't have enough time to ask the arbiter about this score.
So if France is losing, then Azerbaijan is getting through. Azerbaijan's already 3-0 against Spain. How about Mikirchan Gerechkin? I know that is not terribly important for the qualifying spots, but like it's still interesting to see the top players play. So do we have that game?
Ooh, that is a slight advantage for Gerechkin here.
Yeah, okay. Quite a big one actually. Yeah, because she's gonna win the d6 pawn, and White's in. White is
gonna
in big
be completely
trouble.
winning rook endgame. Correct.
Yeah, not very even. Okay, how about Kashlinskaya versus Gupaxian?
Kashlinskaya Alina versus. Here we have it. Kashlinskaya already won.
Kashlinskaya won. So okay, unsurprisingly, Russia's winning again. Pretty brutal. 3.5-half. That seems to be one of their favorite scores. I really think they're definitely the team to beat in this event, but like they got to run into Georgia or Ukraine, to make it interesting.
That is correct. Yeah, it's a little bit a pity for India that they don't have Humpy. Would dramatically improve their chances to stop Russia, but okay, next time. Let's say next time.
Yeah. So what else do we have? What other games are still in progress?
We have the most important games are between I would still say in the pool B are the most important games between in the Poland versus Kazakhstan. But we also have Azerbaijan is still playing. And the board one seems to be pretty equal. White doesn't have any advantage anymore. Remember that position we had with the opposite called bishops?
Yeah, this one is not terribly interesting. Anyway, Spain is losing 3-0 to Azerbaijan. So let's go back to Poland. Let's go back to Poland and focus on Pool B.
Yeah, that is the right decision. And we already have so many results. Claudia Colon has made a draw versus Kamali Dinova. And Kubichka Doledova are still playing. In fact, completely lost for white.
Yeah, she has misplayed this endgame terribly. I mean, look at what black has from what black used to have. So Kazakhstan is going to beat Poland, and I don't know, it's going to come down to FIDE Americas. FIDE Americas, are they going to get enough points to eke out that spot over Germany? They
This
have
is
a
the
good
most
chance to do
important
it.
match for us. Let's see what they're doing. So we already have a lot of results. In fact, we have, we have Karolina, as I said, who lost to Batsashvili. We don't have Dagnidze Kori, but Arabitsa Welet, this is something that finished in a draw. So it makes, it makes already 1 point for FIDE Americas. 1 point. This is all we know. FIDE Americas have 1 point. And we said that Germany needed to take, if Germany has half a point on the board 1, lost on board 2.
How are they doing on boards 3 and 4 right now? I mean, we know they weren't doing that well.
Buxa 1 and a smack 1. That's it. Germany takes only half a point. That means that they will be having 2 match points. I mean, is it 2 or 3? Okay, Germany will have 3 match points, but only 3 match points, but only 7 game points. And FIDE Americas are going to have 7.5. As far as we can see, at least 7.5. And that means that actually could be FIDE Americans advancing to the knockout.
Yeah, I have to say I'm happy for them. It's a little bit well, it's a team that is a collection of players from all over the the American continent. We have player from Canada, from Cuba, from Peru, from Argentina. And it's just nice. I mean, this team is probably a little bit underestimated, I would say, right? And, a little bit unusual, the formulation of this team from various countries, but it is nice to see them do well. And I think they have fought well in this event to get this 4th spot. So that's pretty cool. And okay, this is just a draw between Matnadze and Mamadzada. Not too exciting. And Poland, anything else to see there? Or Sachko Sadvikasova, were we able to see that game?
No, it says that Sachko won, but we do not. Yeah, that is definitely false. So that's it. We do not have any other update. I mean, there is this game.
She's playing right now. We see her. She's still playing. So we know that she hasn't won because she's now on the camera. And they're in some end game. And it's very hard to, they're in a rook end game. I don't know how they're doing. I think Sadvikasova is winning. I see her having more material. I think she's completely winning.
Wow.
Right?
What a nice guess.
But I can't, it's hard to say, oh yeah, now we can see she's completely winning. Yeah, this is just game over.
So this means that Poland is losing?
Yeah, Poland is losing. Sachko is losing, and Kubika is losing. So Kazakhstan takes that match. And that's good
there
for
we
FIDE
go.
Americas.
Resigned. Yeah, so unofficially, we can congratulate FIDE Americas for continuing their way to the knockouts, as well as unofficially, we can congratulate. Can we congratulate Azerbaijan? Wow,
yeah,
Azerbaijan won to 3.5 to half a point versus Spain. India won 3-1 versus France. And that's it. That's it. Armenia has lost to Russia. And that is it. All right. Well, I suggest we take a very short break in order to make sure we have all the results correctly. And then with all the excitement and energy, we'll announce you the official pairings for the quarterfinals for the knockout stage of FIDE World's Women's Team Chess Championship 2021.
Welcome back, guys. We have the U.S. Championship coming up in just about a week. Watch as 12 of the strongest chess players in the country, Nakamura, Caruana, So, and more, battle for the title of the best player, as well as 12 of the best women players like myself, Carissa Yip, Anna Zatonsky, Nazi Paikidze. We're going to be starting play from October 5th. So tune in and don't miss a single move of this exciting tournament.
Absolutely exciting, but definitely not as exciting as this final round number 5 of the round robin of FIDE Women's World Team Chess Championship. We have just finished the very first stage, the round robin stage, and we are now ready to welcome our best players, best teams to the knockout event. And first, let us take a look at the standings after the 5 rounds of the round robin.
Yeah, so we have Russia absolutely dominating. Perfect score. They won all 5 matches. They got 17 points out of a possible 20. You can see that's vastly more than the next best team, Georgia, which also convincingly won their division. So I think, Russia is definitely the team to beat. And they're going to be facing off against the 4th team that qualified from Pool B. So it's kind of interesting how the pairings are going to flip for the next stage, and the teams from Pool A are actually going to play the qualifying teams from Pool B, and vice versa. So India got 2nd place. They won their match today against France. Armenia stayed in 3rd position, and they lost to Russia today. Azerbaijan must be very happy. Their qualification was certainly not guaranteed, but they beat their direct competitor Spain 3.5 to half, and leapfrogged over France as well, who went down to India. So then in Pool B, Dina, tell us what's happening there.
As you mentioned, Serena, Georgia has dominated the Pool B, very convincingly won the tournament. But yeah, we'll need to prove their strength in the knockout event. Therefore, we have Ukraine on the 2nd spot in the Pool B with 7 points. Same number of points goes to Kazakhstan. And as we already predicted, FIDE Americas so made their way, dominating over Germany only with half a point. So that's final round number 5. Both of the teams, Germany and FIDE Americans, lost their matches, but FIDE Americans managed to lose only 1 to 3, while Germany lost half a point to 3.5, and that half a point was very decisive.
Yeah, I think they should have taken that into account, that, if they're going to lose the match, they need to not lose all their games, that you're going to need those tiebreak points, since they were tied with FIDE Americas on those tiebreak points. But yeah, I mean, FIDE Americas kind of maybe slightly surprisingly gets that 4th position. And now let's see what we can expect in the playoffs.
Yes, the playoffs is going to be extremely exciting. We will see FIDE Americas, as we said, might be the weakest team objectively, but a team of fighters facing the strongest, so to be the highest rated on paper team, Chess Federation of Russia. That is going to be not an easy job for FIDE Americas, but they will have an amazing opportunity to test their strengths against a very strong opponent.
Yeah, so we have Ukraine facing off against Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and India, Kazakhstan. So for me, definitely those middle teams that finished in 2nd and 3rd position in their divisions, those are going to provide the most competitive matchups, I think. I think Armenia, of course, is an underdog against Ukraine, but not terribly so. I mean, in one match, anything can happen. So I don't think that they are without chances. And Kazakhstan, India, that is probably the most interesting match that we can see in the quarterfinals. Really close teams. I think they both scored like 7 points in this qualifying stage. So they're really objectively closely matched. Yes, they both did. No, it's Kazakhstan 7 and India 7. Yes, different pools, but same number of match points. and very close to game points as well. So yeah, India, Kazakhstan, that's a toss-up for me. And Georgia certainly is a favorite over Azerbaijan, but again, not really a given. I mean, Azerbaijan can, I think, has great team spirit and can certainly outperform themselves.
Absolutely. Azerbaijan has the Mamedyarov's name in the team, one of the top worldwide players, grandmasters, and his sisters are playing for the team Azerbaijan. So this is, yeah, the very, very strong team. Well, that's going to be extremely exciting. And I am really looking forward to tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, the show will start at the exact same time and will be hosted by Grandmaster Rina Crash and Woman Grandmaster Jennifer Shahade, who is joining us for the commentary. That is going to be even more exciting. So make sure to be present.
Yeah, guys, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next few days. As we go into the knockout stage, I think it's just going to get more exciting from here. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow and through Saturday.